we have decided that we are going to have some goals as a board, and not just as a board, as an organization. Because we're a volunteer board, we have really busy lives. Some of us don't check our email every single day. So we have a mission statement this year. And one of them, our first one, is to increase our paid membership to 60 members. And y'all may be going, well, that's not too bad. But post-pandemic, we've sort of been averaging 35 to 45 paid members. And that is not where this organization was. Even when I joined it 5 years ago, there was easily 60, 70 was about the average. So, and post-pandemic, everyone's just like, well, what are you going to do? We can get all of this online, but you can't get this. You know, you can't get that, hi, how you doing? Where you been? What are you writing? Let me see your stuff. Okay. That doesn't happen behind the screen every time. So we're going to work on it, but you guys get the word out, talk about it. Like, hey, come with me, because it's free your first time. And, you know, like everything, totally weird the first time. Our second one is to coordinate implementation of a fall 2025 workshop. You guys may be saying, well, that's a long way off. It is, but good workshops take more than a couple of months to throw together. I like a wedding. You can do it in 6 months, but you can do a really good one if you take a year and a half to plan. And with the WT Writers Workshop, that week-long though, that used to be in June, no longer operating. The Canadian Writers Workshop, they did 3 years, I think, 2 years. That's not going to happen again. There's a big void in the Texas Panhandle for a good quality hands-on writers workshop. Not just a little meeting, not just great presentations, but a good workshop where you actually write and get things done. And we want to fill that void. It takes time to plan. It also takes money. So the last leg of our goals for this year is to create a fundraising plan, start building up our coffers so that we can fill those voids and produce more programs, more events for us to have. I think that's all I have on that one. Now, the second part of one of the things we did this year is our programming, again, post-pandemic has sort of been, we haven't had a program director, so it's been whoever the board can guilt, finagle, wheel, beg, to come and do programs. And we've gotten very lucky. We've had, you know, our local writers willing to come in and share their experiences. We've had some good friends willing to just do Zooms. Some of them did them for free for us during the pandemic. But there was never really a cohesive theme. And thank you to our lovely program director, Karen, she was like, let's make the whole year's worth of programs coordinated. I'm going to hurry. I'm talking too much. So our focus for 2024 is finding your identity as a writer. How do you want your audience to perceive you? Even if your audience is just your family who's going to read your memoir. How do you want that to come off the page? Your words on the page, your agent, your marketing, your branding, your online presence, and more contribute to your identity as a writer. And all of those things also help us find our writer voice. Because sometimes you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. What does this sound like? And that's kind of one of the hardest things to do. Our programs this year will aid in discovering who we want to be and who we want to be seen as a writer. So I just think that's an amazing goal. And she has got some things put together that are really going to help us do that. So new members or new-ish. Yes, I know that we are typically very introverted. We want to kind of go into our hobbit hole and just write. But I would like for you guys to stand up or raise your hand.
I'm Luke, by the way.
Introduce and reintroduce yourself. If you don't mind, right? You only got 4 or 5. So
Okay. So I am studying psychology. I'm an aspiring psychologist. I work with the Shiloh here at Natural Grocers, and I like poetry. I write things. I want to be a transpersonal psychologist. They kind of focus on traditional values, and they're kind of like a humanistic psychology type of deal. And I'm writing a book called Be Yourself right now, that kind of self-help, merging scientific research with some spirituality ideas. And yeah, I'm just here to check it out.
learned the hard way how next.
I'm Diane Wilson, and kind of a newbie. I basically went into writing when I retired in counseling. I was a licensed counselor. Worked with a lot of families, CPS, and everybody as a community mental health LPC. And so basically, I wrote a little children's book, very newbie. But I did align myself with a great publisher who had taken over a company, and I liked his mission, his values. Really focused on humanitarian values and Christianity and that type of thing. So an alignment there. And now I'm writing a young adult book, so it's developing. So I look forward to growing with you guys, learning with you guys. I'm in here getting rolling my sleeves and helping out. Where do y'all see it for me?
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, I brought a copy of this. This is my first. Y'all,
wonderful.
I had to learn that where commas actually go. I'm happy, but I'm still like
Celebrating kindness, determined.
And I started this when the pandemic came along. Initially, it was so neat because the Bushland art students had done the initial book, which is still on Amazon. But they did all the illustrations, and we were able to raise money for snack pack for kids, which was so cool. They all got on TV with Doppler Dave. So my publisher's like, do another one, but get some artistic illustrations on it. I am not going to hire anybody that's out of the panhandle. I'm going to still I went to WT, and there's a BFA graduate that did these illustrations. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna take care of our own.
Okay, we're gonna have to kind of rush through the rest of it because our speaker is on hold. Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Kelly Fritstow. I was a member of THPW from about 1994 to 2004. I don't remember why I quit. I'm an English teacher at Emerald High School, and I write fables and fairy tales.
Kelsey.
I'm Kelsey. I write historical and contemporary Christian fiction, and I'm a copy editor. And I used to work with kids, but I quit that to do full-time editing. And I'm just really excited to be with a bunch of writers because I've been pretty starved for writing companionship over the past year. So
yay! Vicky. There she is.
I'm Vicky Mueller, and I'm on comeback. I've been gone for a while. I just retired 2 years ago. I taught for 40 years. I taught English language arts. So I've been teaching writing forever and ever. I've written some articles for educational journals. I love writing poetry, but I'm ready to branch out. I've got so many ideas going on in my head. I just need to start taking it seriously and get something done. So.
Wonderful. Yay. Those of you that were here in November met Shiloh, and that leads us into the next thing. Our anthology theme provided by Shiloh is How Time Flows. Any genre, I don't know that we really have a big length on poems, We will be discussing at the board reading, extending the word count. So you can explore this theme a little deeper. For paid members, it's $10. For non-paid members, it's a $40 fee. At one point, it was kind of a contest, but it has not been that you have to compete for your spot for a while. Now, if we end up getting something that's, oh, we've got 300 pages, then we may have to start narrowing our scope. But for right now, so start thinking. You have until, I hate to tell you that the deadline is 8 months away, because I know me, and August 24th, I'll go
tomorrow.
I've got 2,500 words due in 6 days, but it is actually August 31st is the deadline, right? August 31st?
July.
July 31st. So see, it's not even in August. Huh? Don't wait till August. It really crunches our formatter. It's so picky. So, we also have
Published rules and everything.
yes, they're on the website.
They're on the website, and we'll be updating that with word count.
With word count.
Little details.
If you want really cool Texas High Plains Rider merch, t-shirts, notepads, book bags, coffee mugs, we have a store on Cafe Press. Wait till they send you the 40 or 50% off to do it. Miss Betty Reeves is wearing one of our shirts today. That's one mine, but just think about it.
I didn't even.
We have, right now, we have 3 designs that can be put on just about anything that you want. There's even little doggy vests. So you could do that. Okay, I'm kind of rushing through. The next few months, we've got some great stuff planned. In March, Tim Lewis, an author and professor at WT, will come speak to us, and his topic is To Zig or Zag, creating from the crooked road, meaning from our own experiences. May, we will have the new popular, fantastic critique group speed dating again. And we've worked out some kinks. It will go faster, better, and you will get maybe people paired up with, because you may ride alone, but it's a group effort. You need feedback to get the best quality that you can. July is to be determined.
Pending, yeah.
And since we had so many new riders, new resolution, I'm going to get back to riders. We have a door prize for our new and returning things. This is an author notebook. Every month has a word count, but it also has a self-care plan and short count. There's a lot of things to use in here. And I'm going to tell you right now, I got this for myself. It's way too much. I would spend all day working on my planner, not working the plan. This is going to one of these 5 lucky people today. And we'll go ahead and do that now so we don't.
How did they enter?
Anybody that was a new member, new or returning, or a guest today, get your name in this. Now, in March, we'll have something that everybody can put their name in. But I really wanted to reward all you guys that came out and did this. Okay, Miss Karen.
Oh.
Pick a name.
Oh, Luke.
Luke.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Are we ready?
I'll turn it over to Karen to
Okay.
introduce our guest today.
All right. All right.
So I'm actually going to read to you what Victoria submitted as her bio. So Victoria Wynn is an introverted people lover, artist, and mentor to creatives. Her passion for helping others to succeed shows up professionally and in her personal life as a former homeschooling mom and participant in multiple nonprofits. From mindset coaching to a rich career in marketing, mindfully sculpting an experience is where her joy lies. Victoria is known for riding the waves rather than fighting the current. While others panic, she seeks solutions, which has in turn landed her beautiful opportunities with NASA, Forbes, NBC, Disney, and ESPN, to name a few. Peace finds her at her waterfront cabana in Belize and cuddling with 100-pound golden retriever Biscuit. She just felt, I love it. Yeah, she actually has 2 dogs, they're so cute. So she encourages you to, ask questions. If you want to jot down questions, we'll definitely take some time at the end of the session for your questions. And I'm really excited to hear what she's going to share with us about marketing, branding, how people perceive you as a writer. So, Victoria, if you're ready to take it over, I'm going to see if I can get you full screen. Bear with my technology. Sorry, guys. How do I do it? I don't know what that means. Right here. Pin. All right, Victoria, we are ready for you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So first of all, I've got that 100-pound golden retriever in the bedroom and she just started barking. I'm like, no, I had her quiet for so long, but she's a lover of mom. So gosh. So something that jumped out at me, actually a few things as I was listening to the introductions, was finding your identity as a writer. So today I want to go into designing your experience as a writer. And that is pretty much the same thing. It is just a different phrasing for it. The other thing that I heard come up that I love, and so I'm editing my notes kind of as we talk, is introversion. So that's one of the articles that I wrote for Forbes, was about how to be an introvert and also in business, and how to work that out. It can be really daunting and overbearing. So I think sometimes we think that the introvert doesn't have the skills and the gifts that the extrovert does. Trust me, you do, we do, but it does take some practice and some polishing. So we'll talk about that today too. And then the third thing that was mentioned was taking action. None of this really matters that I'm saying today unless you take some steps and take action. So I am all about goal setting, not even necessarily for a New Year's kind of thing. I mean, like by the end of today, I will have posted on social media at least one time. By the end of next week, I will have posted on social media 3 times, like very, very specific goals. That's what's helped me personally to get out of that analysis paralysis thing. So again, like Karen said, and also thank you, Karen, for inviting me and thinking about having me. I want this to be definitely something that we can back and forth on. However you guys can engage from your end. I wish that I could see all of you, because I can only see myself and my notes, and that is very, that is very boring for me. Oh, that is way better. Okay, perfect. Would far rather see all of you. So I began my career as a graphic designer with Disney at 19. And in that time, as I was building my career, I realized I have a knack for building community and designing experiences. But originally, I began with Disney. One little point that I want to say is I really thought, so I'm all about like the gold stars, right? Like, good job, Victoria, good job. Like some people are fueled by, I mean, all kinds of things, money and blah, blah, blah. For me, it's gold stars. I will say, coming out of mom and dad's home and then going straight to Disney, they don't give the gold stars like I was expecting. They didn't give gold stars at all. I actually didn't know if I was doing a good job for them, or I just didn't get feedback. And so I asked the person that I would report to, am I doing a good job? And she said, hey, at Disney, like, and again, this is decades ago, decades. Things are likely different now. But at the time, she said, if they don't complain, you're doing a good job. That was really good for me to learn at a young age, to work hard and to hustle despite not getting the awards, the accolades. You know, right now on social media, we call that the likes, right? The likes and the shares. So thankfully, I'm used to doing my job without all the pats on the back. And I thank Disney for that. In the beginning, it was super confusing to me. I'm like, why isn't everybody telling me I'm doing a good job? That's the corporate world, and it's actually served me very well in marketing because I stayed laser focused. I don't worry about how many likes or how many shares, and I focus on the message and getting the message out, and the end. If there's something that I see as a weakness with creatives, because I work with creatives of all kinds, especially artists, they're really looking for the external validation. They want to see that their post has gotten this many likes, or why did that post, it didn't get as many likes. I really, really urge you, for those of you that are newer to social media, as you jump into it, don't worry about all the engagement from everybody else. Really stay focused on your message and having a really clear message, and not the distraction of who likes me and who doesn't like me. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I found that the more true I am to myself, actually, the more people I attract into my personal world and my professional world. All of that just came from the few things that you guys shared this morning, that I felt like I needed to add and talk about. Also, a high five, especially to those of you that shared. When you have a short little bit of time, like you all had this morning, to talk about your book, or what you're writing, that is really the time to jump in. These little opportunities are going to come up throughout your day and your months, where you have just someone says to you, oh, you're a writer, tell me about it. You really only have a few seconds. You don't have an hour to figure it out, weed through your thoughts. Take those opportunities. And also, I love to hear what your book topics were about. That was really exciting for me as well. So I'm excited to get to know you guys. So when talking about designing an experience, if you have pen and paper right now, then this is where I want you to start getting into action. First and foremost, let's see, I've been an artist since I was a little girl. I've always had this creative side to me. But in the last 5 years, I've built an art supply company. So when I talk about designing an experience, the question for you to ask yourself is, what experience do you want potential book purchasers or your viewers to have with you? So what is that experience? For me, when I'm with the art supply company, I teach art classes. My objectives, the experience that I'm looking to design, to give you an example, is unity, acceptance, confidence, and I want my people to feel excited. So when you think about your viewers, they're looking at your post, right? They're going to your website. They are experiencing you, even if it's in person. What are the adjectives that you want them to experience with you? This is extremely important because it's going to be your core foundation for all of your marketing. So I'll share with you, and I'm going to definitely ask for you to pipe in and raise your hand and share. I'll share from a writer's perspective. I have written quite a bit for women's magazines. I've written for Forbes. I've been a guest blogger. And here's the experience that I want them to have with me. Words come to mind like relatable. So my style of writing is very casual and relatable. The other would be informative. I write and share things that I've learned. So for me, it's important to be informative / valuable. The other would be to give hope. This is a super important core part of me, is inspiring others. So many, without getting choked up. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I've had so many people take my hand when I was struggling, whether it's personally or professionally, and they gave me so much hope. So for me, that is extremely important, that when I write, I'm relatable, I'm informative, and I give hope. Have any of you, this is the time to share. Have any of you written down a few things, or do you have some things in your mind, some adjectives, some descriptors for the experience that you would like to design when people meet you and they hear about you as an author, or they go to a website of yours, or they see one of your posts? How do you want them to feel inside? What are your thoughts?
I want them to feel comfortable and secure.
Did you hear that? Comfortable and secure.
Yeah. And what do you write about?
I write fables and fairy tales.
Ah, interesting. I love that. Okay, yeah. That's great. Comfortable and secure.
So what I try to do is I try to make my fables, I really do try to make my fables thoughtful. I'm writing, and this is unusual because fables tend to be for a younger audience, but I'm tending to write toward an older audience. And I think that they are finding comfort from my work.
Ah,
because
that is
when
powerful.
they're done and they read, hopefully a wise moral, they come away feeling more secure in their coming day. That's my goal. I don't know whether it's totally happened, but that's my goal.
I would imagine it's happening. If it's your goal, that's your why, so to speak. I bet you're nailing that pretty well.
I want them to laugh too. Because there's comfort in laughter.
Oh my goodness, yes. It gets me through the day, let me tell you. It gets me through the day. I want to add one more thing about laughter. Earlier in my career, maybe even just a decade ago, I was really concerned to show my humorous side publicly, like professionally. I felt that that it was not professional. I'm not sure where I got that from, but somewhere in my head, I should add, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And boy, we perfectionists really make a list in our head of what perfect looks like. I don't even know where I got this idea, but I felt like it wasn't professional. And somewhere in that journey of mine 10, 15 years ago, I shed what I'll call the lies I tell myself. That was a lie I told myself, is that you can't be professional and funny and humorous at the same time. Things have changed so dramatically. I attract the exact audience that works for me. I work for them. And I really show my whole personality, all the sides, the deep sides, the funny sides, all of it. And yes, I can see you from the camera angle.
Because you're being authentic. It's because you're being authentic. And the moment you're not, people feel that, right? When you're lying to yourself, and then you're not real. Your work's probably not real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh boy, do I. So once upon a time, I went through this.
I've been through the same thing. I sympathize with that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine this. So all of you, well, you're in a nice big room of people right now. So imagine if this were a self-improvement workshop, 2 days, full days, you get very little sleep, and then you're back early in the next morning, right? And all we do is pick apart your brain and how you think and show you a different way to think. So one of the, and it wasn't where we're sitting behind a table, we're interacting with everybody in those 2 to 3 days. So one of the processes that they did, I think we had only gotten to know each other a day, maybe, this group, we're all strangers. And you walk up to the person and you say either one of 3 things. I trust you, I don't trust you, or I don't know. These are perfect strangers. And it is so interesting. So you walk up one to one, you just take a second, you kind of do a look over of them and a gut check, as I would call it. And you say, I trust you, I don't trust you, or I don't know. I thought for sure everybody's going to trust me. I'm so trustworthy. Like my whole moral code, like who I am is this trustworthy person. And I didn't get all of that from when people came up to me. There were more I don't knows. There weren't like the I don't trust you, but there were I don't knows. And I allowed myself to be a guinea pig. So they take me, stand me up in front of the whole group. Let's talk about Victoria. And I'm like, oh, like your heart is racing. I was newly out of a divorce that was traumatic. This is 15 years ago or 14 years ago. And so we all talked about Victoria. But here's what I gained from it is that because I was so, I'm not going to blame introversion. I'm going to blame shyness and fear that people couldn't really get a good vibe about who I was. So when I did speak and I did share within this group, the feedback was I held back a bit. And because I held back, it caused a bit of distrust. They would say, I really want to trust you, but there's something I'm not so sure about. Oh my gosh, that was life-changing. I had no idea people were unsure about me. And it was disheartening, but if you can let go of the disheartening part and really just look at feedback as a way to grow, I shifted dramatically inside. I really took that to heart. And it took years though for me to dig through the layers of that's me. And I mean, I had been burned, right? Like when we go through a divorce, we're like, I've been burned, you know, and you do put up a shell oftentimes. Not everybody does, but a lot of us do. And I did. So I slowly had to let down that guard, let people see who I am, share more about what matters to me rather than just talking about the surface stuff. Now, if any of you were to meet with me face to face, you would know probably within 3 to 4 minutes what matters to me in life in general, and like to the core. I'll talk about family. I'll talk about connection. I'll talk about making a difference in this world. I'll talk about becoming a recovering perfectionist. Like I just, you know, it's all out there now. But I will say that in this topic that I'm here to talk with you about in marketing, that is the best way to build community is to be yourself. There's a few things that I would suggest. Keep to yourself unless you're writing about these things. I'm going to bring these up. For me, it does no good, and it will only be divisive if I speak like hate speech for politics. I do not speak to politics. I might speak about helping one another and being humanitarian, that kind of thing. But you are not going to see me trashing a candidate, for instance. Keep that stuff out of your professional, again, unless that is what your book is, keep that out of your professional postings. Simply, and same with sexual jokes and that kind of thing. It's going to divide. Is what it's going to do. Again, even with authors that are writing about sexuality, they're not lewd and crude about it. That's a totally different thing. That's what I'm speaking about. No hate speech. Don't be lewd and crude. That is kind of, I think the word that does keep coming to me is like divisive, and it does the opposite of unifying. To build a community, we have to unify. And you can do this through being yourself. Absolutely. Like that's what we're speaking to. I want to ask if there's anybody else that, as I've been chatting or you've heard others' thoughts, what experience do you want to design for your potential customers, for your viewers? What adjectives have come to mind for you? Anybody else? Since this is really going to be your core to your whole marketing strategy, is you have to know, how do I want people to feel when they experience you and you? And I'm literally pointing to some of you and you and you and you and you. How do you want people to feel when they experience your social media?
I want people to leave my books and feeling entertained and like they had fun, but also encouraged. And I loved your word relatable. I want them to identify with me, identify with my characters. Say, oh, hey, I want to be their friend. I want to be their best friends. Oh, I will go hang out with them.
I love that. I recently branded an artist and I talked with her about what's the experience you want to design for your storefront, right? So when you walk into her store, how do we want your customer, your potential customer to feel? And we went into that in detail because that's going to decide her interior design. It's going to decide her signage. It's going to decide everything. And one thing that she said is, again, gets me choked up. I want to go to upstate New York and go through this woman's store just because of what she shared. And it was very, very similar to what you shared. She wanted people to feel like they were friends with her. And she used words like emotionally safe, like people, they can be themselves. But when I think of a friend, Karen knows, boy, does Karen know. I'm very introverted, but boy, am I obnoxious when I'm with Karen. She sees all the angles that are me, the hard days, the good days, the hilarious days. But that's what friendship is you get to see all the different sides of someone. So I really love that. I think we can all use more good friends. And if your writing encourages people to feel like you're their friend, I think that's a beautiful thing. Anybody else before we shift into a different topic? Because again, this is our core foundation for how you're going to even write a whole marketing strategy. Is you need to know how you want people to feel when they experience you, your brand, not necessarily your book, because all your books, they could all have different topics but you as a person, when you do a book tour, what do you want people writing about? Because they're going to write about you, right? How do you want them to feel? One more person.
I can say, I'm Donna. I want them to feel I'm approachable, that I'm just a real person and they can talk to me and tell me their ideas and their impressions of the stories I write or the ideas they've had, that sort of thing. I just want to be approachable.
That's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It goes along the friendly, the emotionally safe, approachable. Perfect. So take time today. This is really not something to put off. Take time today to ponder this question. It's also okay if it changes a bit. If it's maybe next year you've added a few words, to your adjectives, to the experience you want to design, or let's see, finding your identity as a writer. I love that phrasing. I'm like, oh, who wrote that? Because I really like how that sounds. Finding your identity as a writer. Probably a writer wrote that. So to go down a bit more in my notes, I wanted to share that. Oh, so my art supply company, so I innovate the products and sell the products, and I teach people how to use the products. I share these little free videos, and I have a Facebook group for creatives of all kinds, but it's sponsored by my art supply business. Here's the part that matters. In my 5 years of business, that has, it's weird to share accolades. Let's see. Let's just say if I'm comfortable financially. Let's say that, right? So Wynn Modern Art has been around for 5 years, and to live comfortably, help some of my kids through college, spoil my dogs tremendously, have cars, have a house, and live in a beautiful area. I have not paid for a single ad, a single marketing ad in the whole time of building that business. I am not saying that paying for ads is a bad thing. I'm saying if you know how to build community, you can build your life, you can build your whole lifestyle. Not only that, but I have tremendous, amazing new friends that were from my customer base because of this community that I built. Primarily the way that I did it, again, was through, and it exists, and we chat and talk in it all the time. It's on Facebook. I've decided very early on that instead of a Facebook group that has 50,000 members or so, my group is actually a closed group. So you have to click, request to join. And then I go and Facebook stalk you because I don't want trolls in my group. And some of the things that we share are personal. And it is important to me that people feel emotionally safe in my group. So I go and I look through people's Facebook posts and their feeds and things and see, are they aggressive type? Are they, I just kind of get a real quick look at, are they posting hate speech kind of things? Then it's just a no. I don't need to know who you are. I can see how you talk to the world. I don't want you in my group. So for me, it was almost like a social experiment. One, I wanted to see if a female entrepreneur that was nice and giving and this pay it forward type of personality could make it in the business world, in this retail space. Two, I wanted to see if I closed my group. So instead of 50,000, there's, let's say, 2,000 or 1,500 or even 500. If I could succeed in my marketing with that. That has brought in 95% of all of my sales have come from these people that have gotten to know me over the years. I share humorous posts. I share art from other artists. It doesn't need to be all about me. I'm sharing all of this so you can get an idea and even have it planted in your head that though I think paid ads, that can be a great addition to your marketing plan, but I'm here to talk about my expertise, which is building community and building an extremely loyal fan base. I say that they're extremely loyal because there's always haters out there. And I've had several of my own. There are YouTube videos where someone will just completely diss on my products or on me, or someone once a couple of years ago created a fake Instagram account so she could tell me how awful my art is. And I'm thinking, these people, what are they doing with their time? This is what they're doing with their time. And I had to grow a thick skin. But when I say I have a loyal community, I now don't have to worry about like PR when it comes to protecting my image. My customers come at them like a swarm of wasps, just attack. I stay out of it because it's not going to look good on me if I'm like, yeah, that, what she said or whatever. I stay out of it. But I have watched these people go after people that don't know me or haven't even experienced my brand. Actually, it just tends to be jealous people. The bigger you get, the more you deal with that kind of stuff. So if you see that where you already have, know that it's about them. It's not about you. But in the beginning, I was worried about these rude people tarnishing my brand and something that I've worked so hard to build. I don't worry about that anymore because my community has gotten so strong that one, they message me privately and say, hey, and they screenshot, so-and-so said this, and that they send it to me. And then when I go and look, I see all the comments like, you don't even know Victoria Wynn. And what are you know, and who are you anyways? And go get a life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a lot. I just stand back and honestly just have gratitude that this is an online community. These are people I have never met, but we have built such a bond. And I realize that people say social media is fake, everything's fake. And I'm like, I don't know. These people that I don't know, they have my back and they send me Christmas cards. They're very real people out there. They're not just customers, but they will turn into your customers as well. All that being said, there's so much to be said about community and building community and the importance of it for your marketing plan. But again, right off the bat, get clear on the experience you want to design. And then two, get out there and start building a community showing your authentic self, who you really are. You don't go through what I went through and have someone in a self-help program walk up to you and say, I don't know if I trust you. You know, that just changed everything for me. So if there's a way that I could save you time, it's start showing yourself and who you are. If you get negative feedback and you get the same negative comment over and over, maybe do a little self-check. maybe there's just something to look at. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's important to do your inner work, and I'll just leave it at that. But at the end of the day, be yourself. And okay, to my list, I want to tell you also that I had a great late night chat with a friend of mine who specifically works on getting authors on TV and on book tours. So I put in a call to her, said, I have this keynote tomorrow. She's my best friend. So marketing and PR go hand in hand. So I've worked with her multiple times with her, with a book publishing company, a very big one. I've done work for them in marketing, but it was great to have a chat with her. And I don't want our time to run out before going over.
We started you a little late, so you can keep going.
Okay. You give me, you know, like a 10 or 20 minute warning. But I want to make sure that I got this in to share these juicy tips. Also, if you are concerned about missing something that we talked about last night, I had put together a PDF. So if you go to victoriawynn.com, you know, afterwards, I don't want to distract you right now, but if you go to victoriawynn.com, the home page, just put in your name and your email, and I'm going to send you a PDF that I put together for you called the marketing cheat sheet. And I've added this to the marketing cheat sheet. So 5 tips from a PR expert who focuses on authors. Here we go. Her name is Michelle. And number 1, she said, build your audience. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? What she means by that is get out there in social media, especially in social media. And we'll talk a little more about what that looks like in detail. But her number 1 is exactly what I'm here to talk with you about. Build your audience, right? So she could have just as well said, build your community online. That's number 1. Number 2, I thought this was interesting. Make sure you wrote the book for an audience. So I'm like, what does that even mean, Michelle? And she said, well, know who your audience is. We'll expand on that a little bit in a second here, but that's what she gave me. She had like 4 minutes. So she said, number 1, build your audience. 2, make sure you wrote the book for an audience. so far what I'm hearing from you and you're sharing in this group, you are writing for an audience and you know who your audience is, which I love that. So 3, learn how to pitch your book. So learn how to describe your book. She said, like your elevator pitch, for instance, and know your key plot points. Does that make sense? Do you have questions about any of those 3 so far? Build an audience. That's what we're talking about, right? Your marketing, your building community, your online presence. Number 2, make sure you wrote the book for an audience. So get real clear. You need to know who your audience is. 3, learn how to describe or pitch your book in the elevator pitch. Okay, do you have questions on any of those so far? We were all in a room together, and maybe we had a little more, like if it was a writer's retreat kind of thing, that number 3, I would work with you on, like we would practice that. I practice that with myself. You need to have that pitch no matter what industry you're in. If someone comes up to me and says, what is Wynn Modern Art all about? I need to immediately, without stutter, without hesitation, know exactly what my business is all about. And I do, but it took time and practice. Talk to a mirror, talk to your friends, and get out there. The more practice you have talking about your writing or your style of writing, the better. It's extremely important. Confidence is a big deal, right? I was going to say confidence is key. Well, your work needs to be key, but confidence is right there with it. So she's well connected with TV producers and book publishers. I've pitched books to her before. I've hit and I've missed, and I know how to hit it and I know how to miss it now. And thankfully, I have her as a friend to bounce ideas off of. But it's not always book ideas. One time, my very first time pitching her that I wanted to be on a morning show for my art supply company. And she said, "You're not ready." That was, again, with the disheartening, but then I have to set my emotional side out of this and say why. And she told me really clearly what was needed for me. So I mean, I don't know if I even want to go into that right now because it had more to do with I needed a website. You have to, if you're going to be on TV, you need to send them somewhere, send them to a website, send them to an event. So she wanted my little art demo to be associated with a class specifically. So I need to go and create a whole class, find the venue, blah, blah, blah. And then I nailed it. Number 2 time, number 3. And then I moved out of state, moved to Texas. Love Texas. By the way, that was an amazing experience for a couple of years being in Texas, and gone on TV every month there. But I figured out the drill. One, I learned that I had nailed the elevator pitch, and then I was prepared that when I go on TV or any kind of public appearance, that people have a website to go to, or they have a social media profile to follow. You have to have all of those things. So again, her number 3 is learn how to describe or pitch your book. Practice, practice, practice that. Number 4, learn how to create cliffhangers when you present your book on social media, interviews, and TV. That was super interesting to me. She said, you're already writers. You already write cliffhangers. You already know how to do this. She said, fine tune that skill you have as a writer and put that into your marketing. I was like, I love that. I call that like a tease. I like how she described it. I didn't realize I'm already doing that until she put it in those terms to create cliffhangers. You want to reel people in, right? So that was a pretty neat one for number 4. Number 5, respect people's time. She's speaking about when you're trying to find a publisher, you're pitching, or you have meetings of any kind. She also runs a film festival. And so not only does she have authors coming to her all the time, but she's got filmmakers coming to her all the time. And she was telling me, you know, it's late last night and someone was, they knew she had this limited block of time and they kept pushing it and pushing it. Oh, and I want to tell you this other thing and this other thing. Well, from the behind the scenes, which is what I want to share with all of you, my friend is telling from girlfriend to girlfriend, she's like, oh, I'm so tired from that meeting. I'm exhausted. I mean, I could tell that they're talented, but like her main focus was not actually on their talent. It was on the fact that they sucked the life out of her. And she made this time in an evening, and then they even pushed it further. So this is kind of a little behind the scenes from me to you, from the friend of the person that's well connected with the publishers, the PR guru. She came to me as a friend, is absolutely exhausted by people that keep doing that. And so she gave me 4 and I said, well, 4 doesn't sound good. How am I going to say, hey, I have 4 tips. I need 5, Michelle. And she's like, well, let me tell you about my night. And so number 5 ended up, and again, this is in the PDF, just go to victoriawynn.com, fill that out. And then I'll know that you're interested and I'll send that off to you. But yeah, number 5 was respect people's time when you're talking to them about your book, your pitch, your book tour, whatever it might be. Do you have any questions or like thoughts that you would like to add on Michelle's 5 PR tips? Or even if you were someone that
I want to remind everybody when we're talking about the elevator pitch, Texas Pipelines Riders, as part of our face group, has a closed pitch room. So you can post your pitch. You can post a video of you doing your pitch, and the community will help you perfect it and get it right. And even just videoing yourself giving the pitch, practicing. And it's a closed group, so it's only us that gets to see it. So there's an avenue to pitch work on your elevators.
That's huge. I mentor creatives, and one of the things that I say is just that. I say use it's called the Wynn on Facebook. It's called the Wynn Modern Art VIP tribe. And I say use that tribe to pitch, because they might be pitching, it's not a book, but they're pitching starting to teach an art class, or they're pitching an online art course, or they're just pitching themselves as an artist because I'm challenging them to walk into a gallery and say, hi, I'm Victoria, and the kind of art that they do, and da da da. So I'm challenging them, giving them homework, I'll call it, in my mentoring and coaching sessions to do just that. That's a huge resource. And again, with a closed group, I imagine that your group is similar in that you don't allow jerky or condescending comments. Like if you don't have something that's helpful to say, then I would guess that the admins are like, just zip it then, because we don't need that kind of negativity. But feedback is great, right? So utilize that. If you guys have that resource, utilize it. I think that's amazing that you have that. And video, one time, I'm just full of embarrassing stories for you guys today. So once upon a time, this was probably 13 years ago, I was invited to do a reality show for female entrepreneurs. And they had decided that gosh, I don't know how else to say it, but I wasn't willing to be in bikinis and hot tubs and talk about business life and how rich I am. They knew I wasn't interested in that. So they said, well, Victoria, how about we have you be the, like the host, right? And he told me, gosh, I just remember it was harsh. It was like, you know what? So you're not a model and you're not a spokesperson and you're not going to make it. And this was from I would call him like a very small time director guy. And and I'll say small time because, well, one, he never got the show never got picked up, but two, in our practice shoots, he actually made that live and he put my voice with this little clip and a trailer. And I had friends come up to me and say, do you know that your face and your voice is in this trailer of the show? And it's not the kind of show that represents who you are, you know? I did not know that. So that was years ago. It didn't get picked up. He didn't get his investors. But again, we can be all disheartened and get our feelings hurt. Or we can take the feedback and go, okay, interesting. Now, no duh, I'm not a model. I never tried to be a model. I don't even know why that came up. But to his point, if I'm not speaking smoothly enough, I'm not showing up well on camera and I don't mean physically, I mean in the way I was articulating, well, that's something for me to possibly learn from. So I would take my phone and would be practicing speaking over and over in a camera. There is something about talking to a friend that's very different than the moment the camera turns on, whether it's your phone or you're in let's say a TV set. It's like our minds can like ding, we kind of get out of our authentic selves. And so that's what I've been practicing over the years. And now I'm extremely comfortable with it. But he had a point in that as soon as I knew that camera was on, something came over me and I shifted a bit. I didn't have that glow and I didn't have that energy to me. I was too in my head. I was nervous and all that. So I really like that idea that you guys have a group where you can share a video, because just the very act of talking to your phone, to any camera, is going to give you great practice. I've talked with Michelle a lot about how she helps people on TV. Sometimes she or a member of her team will show up on set and they have to direct so let's say I just picked one of you and said, you're going on TV in 2 hours. How would you feel about that? And you're going to pitch your current book, whether it's finished or you're writing it. Maybe we're calling you, it's Tim, the up and coming author in Amarillo, right? And imagine how that might go for you. Are you prepared? Are you prepared to sit down in front of a camera and just start talking about what you do without having the deer in the headlights, like look on your face? Because it's extremely common for her. And so she directs people from behind the scenes on how to manage that. The best way to do that for you, your homework, is start talking to your phone, record it, then get brave and share it in your writers group. Who's willing to actually do that? Because if you really are taking your writing career seriously, then these are things that J.R. Tolkien, everybody needs to get used to these book tours and these TV interviews. It is part of the career, whether you feel like you signed up for that or not. That's part of the gig. Just like for me as an artist, I spend more time delegating and handling the logistics of Wynn Modern Art than I do in painting. I would like to paint more and more, but there's a lot of time spent on the marketing side of things. And it's part of being a creative that wants to make money being a creative. If you don't need to, and you just want to write and put it out there, and that's okay too. That's probably the dream, right? Is to not have to worry about the money side to it. But if it's going to be a career, it's a profession, then practice the skills that I'm talking about, like building community, talking to yourself on camera to get yourself used to the moment you know that it's playing, you can still stay who you are. You can be your authentic self. Don't be like Victoria, where people say, number 3, I don't know if I trust you. Don't do, learn from my experiences. So what I do is, my title is experienced designer. So when people ask, what do you do? I say, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an experienced designer. And so one of the things that I do as an experienced designer is not just speak to the marketing, but before that, I go into branding someone. And when you brand someone, we're talking about using color psychology. So if you say, I want people to feel safe, comfortable, and like I'm their best friend, right? Then there's colors that emulate that and that evoke that emotion. And so that is one of my prime directives as a brander. You don't just jump into the logo first, you figure out, and you have your client, and I help my client to figure out what those adjectives are, like what's their why and how do they want people to experience them, what's their identity as an author. And then I create a color palette designed to evoke that emotion. So if I showed you these colors, you're going to be like, wow, there's something comforting about that, or friendly or happy. You do all of that through color. And so that's the number one thing that I do after having a consult. We go over their color palette, and then I develop a logo for them, and we work on a tagline as well. And then we talk about the marketing sides of things. So in my last few minutes, I want to talk about what online, and also feel free to raise your hand. And to me, it's not interrupting, it's just a discussion. So feel free to hop in. I want to talk about what social media sources that I use. For instance, Facebook and Instagram. And I wrote down on my notes, maybe TikTok. You could do well on TikTok if you have the bandwidth, the emotional bandwidth and the time to jump onto TikTok, and go for it. For me, I found that with creatives, it's Facebook and Instagram. Twitter has its own drama, right? That's no longer Twitter, it's now X. So especially to not overwhelm people, pick 1 or 2 for now and just start posting regularly. Regularly means different things to different people. If you are newer to social media, then I would say if you could just post 3 times a week, that's great. Wynn Modern Art posts 3 times a day. That's an algorithm thing. That's it's important for me through Facebook and Instagram that they know that I'm a serious business and I'm a very active business. But you can start out with 3 posts a week. The goal is not to overwhelm at all. So start with that. And if you can get it to 1 a day, that is great. You have to remember that not everybody is seeing all your posts, right? So you might throw it out there and you post 10 times in a week, but your connections are seeing maybe 2 or 3. So for me, if I'm posting 1 to 3 a day, all of my people are not seeing all of those. And the algorithm are the algorithms. I can't fight it. It's just kind of what it is. And you just have to know how to play the game. Here's the other big question I get is, what do I even post about? So as an author, here's the things to post about. I've added this to the cheat sheet, so I can send this off to you. But just to share real quick, definitely share any kind of launches and event dates, right? But also post things that inspire you to write. There is so much content there. If you're writing fables and tales and, well, snap a photo. This inspired the very beginning of this new story that I've started, or it was just this little frog, or just this special person in my life, or anything that inspires you to write. It can be, for me, it's things like the ocean. So you'll see a lot of posts from me about beach and ocean. Places that inspire you to write. So again, that goes into my category of like ocean, but other people might take pictures of nature, or they're up in the mountains, or they'll say, I'm heading to a cabin this weekend so I can finish my next chapter. Other things would be share pointers on writing, help people out. If you think about the social media content, the followers that you follow, it's typically something that's funny, right? But also something that's educational. So if you like to bake, you're probably not just watching people that just only do a quick baking video or a picture that says, here's how to order from me. It's likely they're showing you some little neat tip, or at least a process video that's kind of interesting and fun to watch. So think about that from an author's perspective. Little tips and little pointers. Maybe you figured out how to get through writer's block. Do you know how much social media, like how popular that post would be if you just shared ways that you have figured out for yourself how to get through writer's block? I know I would read it. It'd be like, I'm stuck right now. I'm supposed to be writing a chapter for a book, like in true real life. They've extended my date, but I'm feeling a little stuck. So if any of you posted and said, here's the 3 ways that I get through writer's block, that I will read it for sure. And then that will get shared. So informative, helpful posts. Teach, share. Don't be so, I don't want to share this. And, don't be so stingy with gifts and things that you've learned. That's not going to build community as compared to sharing some of your wisdom. Will definitely build community. So for me, for Wynn Modern Art, I share little videos of how to do like 2-minute little video on how to do a neat little technique. And then I just share it freely. Good karma as well. If you believe in what comes around goes around, it's just a good idea to share and give. So my next one, add humor. Just don't make it politically charged or sexual in nature, but just good, clean humor. I share humor about grammar all the time with the there and your and all that. Like there's so many funny posts that are very writer centric, and you can literally Google funny memes for authors and you'll get all kinds of content. And you can share that, utilize it, because like you said earlier, I'm pointing, but I know you can't see where I'm pointing. Humor, we all need humor in our lives. We all just need to laugh. And if that's part of your personality, is you like to laugh, then there's nothing wrong and everything right about showing that side of your personality. Lastly,
have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Karen. I'm sort of off screen, but
see your beautiful hair.
You were talking about posting like 3 times a week or once a day, or, you know, really posting regularly, how much of that would you say should be just sharing versus original content?
That's a good question. I actually thought you were going to go a different place with that question, because typically what's asked is like there's percentages about how often you're selling, let's say, your book, which would be maybe only two or 3 out of 10 posts should be sales. All the rest have that be helpful content, funny content, interesting content, personal content about your life or your family or whatever. But to your point, here's where I'm at with it. And I've been a marketer like my whole adult life, but there comes times when I don't have the time, but I know of the importance. So I will be sharing more of just the other people's content or funny memes or that kind of thing, because it is better to get something out, right, than not post at all. So when I have the mental bandwidth, the time, then I post a lot more of my original content, meaning little art videos, or maybe I'm talking about marketing. I'll just shoot a short little video and share some tips. I wish I could do that all the time. I actually love it. Life has been getting busy, and also I got sick. So just life happens. So if you can just keep posting in general, but yeah, if you could slant it more towards your own original content and just share a few little funny memes or a few little things from others, that would be the best. But good, better, best, right? It's a good idea just to be good, meaning just get some content out. Does that answer?
Yeah.
Well, like if you have the time, a lot of original content is the best thing that you can do. And it's okay if you don't have the time, or not only that, but just talk about mental health. We don't always have it in us to be in front of the camera or writing this amazing post. We just want to stay in front of people's faces, stay relevant. So share somebody else's content with just a few words. And if you have a website, then add your website at the bottom, right? And say, I love what this person said about getting out of the writer's block, and then share your website, share it, done, you've done it. I think that the goal is to enjoy life. So I have shifted from putting all these stresses and expectations on myself to, how do I just enjoy my life? Well, some weeks you're not going to see me posting a whole lot of original content. The other thing you could do is pull from your old content, because it's all going to still be relevant. So that's the other thing. I just did it yesterday. I was busy working on this, and I didn't have time for creating all these new videos, or I didn't make time because I wanted to focus on you guys. So what I did is I pulled from old videos from like a year ago, and I just reshared those videos. So there's nothing wrong with that. Reuse your own original content. Dig it up. After a few years, yes.
We are starting to get about to an hour. If anybody had additional questions, we have some questions.
Okay. How did you actually start your own private community? How did you get that started?
That's a great question.
I mean,
that's a great question. So on your personal Facebook profile, for instance, let's talk about Facebook. Well, I guess step one is you have to literally create the group, right? You go into Facebook, there's a button that says like create a group. In order to create a group, you have to already have a business page. So if you're, Snoopy, I love peanuts, so everything's Snoopy for me. And my company's name is Snoopy. I go to Facebook, create a business name. So in reality, one of my businesses, Wynn Modern Art, right? I have a Facebook professional business page that's called Wynn Modern Art. Within Wynn Modern Art, that's actually where you're going to create a group, and then you'll create a cover image. You'll put whether it's your logo or your face, and then you're going to fill that all out. What's your description? What's the purpose of your group? Get clear on that, and then you're going to write it in your description. Once you have that together, I would even share a few posts, even though nobody's in there. That's one of my tricks, is I share a minimum of 12 posts. Because here's the thing, how weird is that when people will say, hey, come join my group, and you go in there and there's nothing there. There's nothing to look at. So I just hop right out and I'm done. So my trick is create some content and put that content in this group before anybody is even there. And then go to your Facebook page or your Instagram and your friends that you just talked to, like actual people that you see, and let them know. So your post would say something like, let's see, for me, gosh, years ago, it said something like, I'm thrilled to create a community that is safe, free from negativity, and shares free mini art classes for any creative or an art collector. You're all welcome. My only rule is we treat each other well. I will take you out of the group if there's negativity. And I'm pretty bold. I say I will take you out of the group without apology if you are negative. But if you are the type that is a great cheerleader for others, and you have things that you want to share, or you just want to read and support others, this is the group for you. So I am very, very clear on what works. So who's welcome and who is not welcome. That has helped tremendously. And then like, I think even in my group rules, it says like, number 1, don't be a jerk. And if you're confused as to what that means, this group is likely not for you. It's like, duh, if you don't know what that means, you're not my audience. Just, yeah, you're not my audience. So get really clear, but post publicly. I've started this new group. And then remember, you have like 12 posts already in there. They go to your group and make those posts fun, make them personal, make them really share something, again, writer's block, or here's where I gain a lot of my inspiration, or here's how I have to set up my day because I'm ADHD and this is what helps me. Like for me, I'll get unprofessional for a second. I have my little buddy curled up in a ball next to me, right? Like that's one of the ways that that I get creative is I have my animals near me. The loudmouth, the big 100-pound one, is in the other room, but my nice quiet little Labrador right here, my little pointer lab.
She's asking for clarification, I think.
So then,
yes,
some of your friends that you're already with, friends on Facebook, you can ask them, send them an invitation to join this group.
You can. So there's 2 things that you can do. Just post and say, hey, I've created this group, and you're going to share the link to your group. The other way is within your group, you can invite people. So I do both. Literally, you click on, it says invite, and the drop down list of your friends. You're going to invite. Quite frankly, I don't invite everybody into my group. There's some family members that I'm like, no, thank you. Just no thanks. And that's okay. Your group, your boundaries. Stick to it.
Can I interject just 2 things real quick on this point? One, I don't, there's different levels of familiarity with Facebook. But to her point of creating a business page, you can create an author page, and it's like specifically will say your name, author. And then the other point I'd love to make is, so I'm in the VIP group, Victoria and I know each other, and she interacts with people when they post or they comment. She will comment back or comment on their posts. And I think that's really important to not just shout at people all the time, not just post to people.
Yeah, I would call that, and I'm not even joking about it, it's a part-time job. It is part of my marketing hours every day. And it's something that people have said, I can't believe the CEO of this company is in this group talking with us. And to me, I'm like, I don't look at it that way, but that's how my customers are viewing it. I look at it as I'm enjoying this. I'm getting to know people. I can be my introvert self, meaning I'm doing it behind a screen. So that's kind of nice. And I can talk and laugh and share information. And I do it all the time. But just so you know, the feedback that I'm getting is, holy crap, what group do you get the owner of the company chatting with you about your art or high-fiving or answering questions? So I appreciate Karen. In my mind, that was an assumption. If you have a group, engage in your group, talk with people. I have made some of my very, very closest friends through that group. And then I ended up holding a whole art retreat, multiple, in Belize. And these people paid, I'm like, how much do I want to share publicly? So I will share with you guys. They paid $5,000 to come to my art retreat. That did not include their flight. And I showed them the time of their lives in Belize. We did art classes. We went to a private island. We did all these things. It booked up so fast. And it was only from those people in my group. Like I said, I say 95% of people, of my customers, my lifestyle comes from that one group, because the other 5%, I found a few YouTube influencers. That's the other one you might want to consider, is YouTube. Some YouTube influencers have found me and found my products and have shared, and I'm seeing some revenue come in from them. And last year it was maybe even 15% of my revenue, or even 20, from one YouTube influencer. All the remaining has really been through my own VIP group, responding to people. And at the end of the day, my biggest marketing tip is just care. Just care about people. Care to respond.
What other questions? Do we have any other questions?
Is it good to have new presences on Facebook, like personal and author, or do you want those to be together?
I didn't quite hear the.
She said, is it better to have two presences, like a personal Facebook page and an author Facebook page, or should they be merged as one?
You always have two. So the way Facebook, you have your personal page. You can't create a business page without a personal page. They connect.
And you would recommend creating the business page, not just doing it all from your personal page?
You can't. I don't even know if you can create a group from your personal. Maybe you can. You want a business page. There's multiple reasons, but right off the bat, I can only have 5,000 friends. I have hit 5,000 friends on Facebook probably 8 years ago. I have to unfriend people in order to add new people that are like more relevant to my. What are you laughing at? I see smiles and laughing up front.
I only have 30 friends.
I figured there was a story behind that smile. I wanted to hear that. So you're limited is my point. You're limited on your personal page. They max you out at 5,000. Your business page can go to hundreds of thousands. So it's important to have your personal page, have your business page, and you can share on your personal page. You can share your business page posts. But when you create your business page, you're going to open, if you're going to create a group, then you'll do that through your business page. Don't forget about Instagram. Instagram is a huge tool. There's a lot of people. It depends on the age bracket, but there's a whole demographic that is really heavily on Instagram. I'm one of them, and both are, and also they work together. You can post on one and it will post to your Instagram. Like, it's easy now because they've merged. The two businesses merged. You can post on Instagram. My Instagram post goes straight to my business page. So it's easy peasy, and it gives you an online presence on both.
Right.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you make a post, do you try to consider word count? you try to consider how, yeah.
We're writers, so everything is word count for
Well,
us.
I know, but you should try to consider that a novel in a post can be inappropriate.
That's a better question than you might know, or maybe you do know. It is a great question.
Okay.
What I wanted, my initial thought was focus on the heart count, right?
Okay.
The authenticity. That's what's going to matter most. I have been shocked that I have, let's say, 150 likes and 20 or 30 comments on a post that went on for paragraphs. But the reason is because it was so heart-centered. That post was so real and so raw that it caused people to want to read the next paragraph to the next, to the next. I'm an artist, but there's a writer in me as well. So if I were to give you a tip though, what matters even more than word count is that first line, because we're scrolling fast, right? We're on our phones, we're at the coffee shop, you know, and we're scrolling fast. That first line is everything. So as a marketer and a writer, my first line is the one that needs to pull them in. The first word or two might be in caps. I'm trying to think oh, you know what, you guys go on Facebook. I'll unfriend others to friend you. Go on Facebook, look up Victoria Wynn, and you can look through my posts. I will add that, let's see, here's what it looks like. Just so you know, you've got the right person there, the right Victoria Wynn. If you have animals, share your cute animals, a bird, a lizard, it doesn't matter, a bunny, a cat, a dog. Somehow you'll see that I posted about you guys here. Somehow incorporate your pets into, you know, little Henry the Hound is hanging out with me while I write today. People love animals. If you have an animal, post about them, share them. So when you, let's see, I haven't posted any, just go through, you'll see, there'll be a few like really, okay. There's a post. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to show you. If you see that image, that post had a lot of engagement. And here's what the first line is. The first line is, how is this even happening? And it's a picture of two people at a coffee shop, right?
So my question was partly going to be about that hook.
What was the question? What about the hook?
The hook that you want, there's the first line. And is that extremely important? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It matters.
They'll read as long as they get hooked.
Yep. Yep.
Well, and on Facebook too, like that first part sometimes is all that shows up, and you have to click read more. So you want to get them in to read more.
So I pay attention to that. I know exactly where the read more part starts. So this is getting really fine tuning into Facebook marketing for sure. But it says see more, right? I make sure that my juiciest stuff, like those first couple lines, especially the first line, that would be what you would call the hook. But those other couple lines, I have edited and moved around my content. So the more, what's going to draw them in is they don't have to click on the see more. You can see it, right? And you only have a couple lines. So to that point, word count matters. But to my point, also to add a heart count matters most.
Okay.
To post from your gut and from your heart. There's a lot of discussion about what times you should post, what time of the day is best. And I have a new answer than I did 12 years ago when I was teaching marketing. My new answer is go with your intuition. 100%. If your intuition says at 1 a.m., you need to share this, it matters to you, you're in the flow with writing it, and you're passionate about something and you need to write it, then just post it at 1 a.m. because the right people will see it. I'd rather have the right 20 people than the, whatever, 2,000 people. But the right 20 matters more, and your intuition knows. Again, I was shocked when I presented to Forbes an article. So if you look up Victoria Wynn and Forbes, and even add the word intuition, there's a whole article in there that I was amazed that they were so interested in intuition and business. Do not take that little inner compass, that little inner voice for granted. It's there to guide you and to help you. And that includes in marketing, not just your personal life, but in your marketing and your professional life. It's there to guide you through your whole day. So word count is I really love that question. Anyways, victoriawynn.com. I've put together some of these notes for you. I can send that PDF. You just have to put in your email address so I know who to send it to. And it's going to be me personally, by the way. So you can always respond. It's not going to be this automated thing. It's literally me attaching a PDF and sending it to you. And you're welcome to reply and share questions or thoughts, or, so we can continue the conversation outside of this, since we have limited time and
we've actually gone kind of over what we promised our group here. And so in the interest of key point number 5 of respecting people's time, please reach out to Victoria if you have further questions. Email her. She is great and responsive. Thank you for being so generous with those connections, Victoria, and allowing us that personal access to you and to your website and your Facebook and all of that. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm humbled and honored to be with all of you. This is exciting for me. So thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.